Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. My name is Amasid and today I'm going to walk through my cast on crit Ice Spear Occultist, who is honestly one of my favorite characters that I've played in a while. Every league seems to present new characters for me, but this is cast on crit is actually the second time I played this in the last 3 leagues, and for me that's quite a bit because I really only played 2 characters a league, maybe 1 to 2 characters a league, at most 3. So playing the same type of build twice in that short a time frame really does show that I love this type of character, and it's just so fun for me. Now, before we jump in too deep, I just want to note that this is not the absolute top end gear, far from it. I've just been asked so often what my POB is, what build I'm playing, you know, what my character is. So I decided that'd be best to just make a video, show you all what it is, and walk through some of what I'm using, upgrades potentially that I could make, and there's a lot of them, but also just to show you guys this smooth, absolutely buttery smooth gameplay, because I mean it's just so satisfying, except for when I got caught on that ledge just a minute ago. But it's really fun build. It clears pretty well. If I had a headhunter, which I will hopefully get sooner than later, the clear speed will be phenomenal as you're going faster and faster. Boss damage, very strong. It does quite well with bosses. It's just an overall really strong character. It's fun. It's not crazy expensive to get into. I don't want to say this is like, you can't league start and it looks just like this. You have to get some investment in there. As you can see, I'm a low life character, so I'm using a shavs, etc. But it is a really fun character, especially if you have a lot of money. This character can go really far. But even if you only have 10x, you should be able to make this work. But overall, very strong. Now let's jump in to the gear section. I'll show you guys my gear, walk through the POB a little bit, and we'll see what we're doing from there. Anyway, I'll be right back. Alrighty, we are back. Now taking a look at my gear here, I want to emphasize this is nothing crazy here. It's relatively starter gear for this build to some degree. There are a couple tweaks that I've made, but I'll walk through everything. I will also talk about the mana problem because the people have asked me about that a couple times, and I thought it'd be just important to address because the mana on this build doesn't function the way it used to with the Assassin and 3.14. No, 3.14. Yeah, 3.14. It's just with the mana changes, you have to make a few adjustments here. So I'll walk through that. Now look at the gear here. I'm using a CoC Breeze. I do have skills fire and additional projectile. This was about 7x for this. I'm sure you can get one for less now, maybe 5 to 6x. But this helped a lot. This was a 20% DPS increase when I bought it, and it's very strong. It's a very nice sword. It's mandatory for the build, of course. Prism Guardian, another mandatory item. I didn't corrupt mine. I bought it like this, I think, for like 50C a long time ago because I was using it on my Storm brand Occultist as well, but also mandatory. And then Shavs, also mandatory as well. But this guy here is a very bad Shavs, very bad Shavs. I need to get a better one at some point. And it's nice that with these tainted chromatic orbs, you can easily recolor these things. I mean, it's super easy to hit 3 greens, a red, 2 blues. Much easier than it used to be. Now looking at my helm, the only good thing about it really is the ES and the obviously the enchant. This could be so much better. I need max power charges and I need nearby enemies have 9% less cold res. That's really what I'm looking for. This is not high enough item level. I just bought this because it was cheap. It had the enchant, and then I hit this with I think 2 rounds of fossils, of like using a 3-socket resonator, and I hit 300 ES with essentially with quality, and I was like, that's good enough. Let's just roll with this for now. And this was also a huge increase for that enchant, and then the ES was very nice as well. Essence Sap, Presence of Chayula. So Presence of Chayula is obviously mandatory. I need to get more catalysts. As you can see, I'm just lazy. I want more chaos resistance was my thought, but or I can get the max life, get more conversion. There's a lot of options. So in terms of Essence Sap, this is one of the parts that's necessary for the build to function in terms of mana. So the attack damage leeches mana is nice, but it's the leech as well that really helps. But on top of that, I'm also running 2 rings that have minus mana cost to skills, to non-channeling skills. So basically that makes it so your Ice Spear only costs 16 mana. So as you can see in the video I was showing, you're not really dropping too much. You can really run this without one of these enchants, or one of these crafts rather, but you need at least one. You really do need at least one. Otherwise, you're going to be going, ooh, unless you want to run mana flasks. I don't like mana flasks. I don't want to run them. I think it's worth it to have at least one in there. Plus, you get the Assassin's Mark on something like this, and it works really well. This is quite a decent ring. I think I paid 1 or 2x for it. It's nothing crazy, but it does the job quite well. It has dexterity, it has fire res. It's just missing something like ES, or maybe even more resistances, but it's got the Assassin's Mark and the non-channeling, so that's quite good. Looking at the other ring, this is just a stat stick ring for me. I need to get a better ring for sure, but it's functioning right now. It has a lot of strength and a lot of dex, and it also is a T1 ES roll, I believe. That T1? Yep, T1 ES roll. And then I got that mana cost enchant on there, or craft on there, so that's really helpful as well. But that's doing quite nicely for me. Then, looking at my gloves, again, very, very not special. I paid nothing for these, if I remember. I think it was like 30C. They're doing quite well, though. They have the accuracy, which is nice because you really do need to cap your hit chance with Cyclone. That's a huge DPS difference right there if you aren't capped. So getting accuracy is important, and then as well I have some the spell damage because it's the base, and then just okay ES and some resistances, nothing crazy. Looking at my belt, another similar situation. I think I paid maybe 2x for this belt at the time. It's got a T1 dexterity roll, but I also need to catalyze this one up more. As you can see, it's got the cooldown recovery rate, which is important for the build, as well as decent ES, like okay ES. It's nothing crazy. Belt will be one of my next upgrades for sure, besides rings and glove, I think. Boots are okay. I don't remember how much I spent on these, but it wasn't that much. They have 30 movement speed, plus the movement if you haven't been hit recently, plus Tailwind, so that's really nice. Tailwind's a nice solid increase as well, plus just some okay resistances, and the ES is of course trashed here, but it's doing the job for now. There's a lot of upgrades you made in this build. Flasks, I really do need to replace this with a Bottled Faith, but I haven't. Nothing crazy here, nothing out of the ordinary. Diamond Flask, just a Sulfur. Dying Sun, very important for the build because that helps a lot with your Ice Spear projectiles. And then I'm using an Aziri's Promise and a Quicksilver Flask. Now, looking at the gems here, I am using a Militant Faith. This is a pretty bad Militant Faith relative. You want something like LE damage, Pretend Devotion, or maybe Resistances would be good to take some pressure off your gear, but I'm using it to get this Inner Conviction as well, which is very nice. Have to use a Thread of Hope, so you can get these nodes here as I'm taking. I'm using a pretty okay Thread of Hope. Again, if I wanted to max it more, I'd get a -10, but I didn't do that, and it hasn't proved necessary yet. Looking at down here, we have an an Unnatural Instinct, which as you can see is giving quite a bit of stats. It's very, very nice. This is the spot to go. I know some people have done it and got rid of the attack speed, but I've gotten rid of the spell damage and kept the attack speed, so I like that. Energy from Within, nice to just get more ES there. Okay, looking at my clusters are of the worst pieces of gear that I have, but again, as you'll see in the POB in a second here, I have 4 million DPS on Shaper without Flasks up. So it's pretty fine without it. It's pretty fine. So looking at these, I just have it's a 2 notable large socket here with Blanketed Snow and Widespread Destruction. I think I paid 80C for this. And then in terms of mediums, I have 3 of these mediums that are almost identical. Pressure Points and Getaway are quite nice. So I'm using those there, and then socketed like very okay Jewel. I don't need the Dexterity anymore, so that's a wasted. I'm using this Watch Dive. This Watch Dive is quite nice. The Discipline ES on hit, I think I paid 6x for this, maybe 7x for this. That's a lot of defense right there. That'll keep you up, keep you sustaining ES in a much needed scenario where you're not necessarily hitting Ice Spears in the way you want. This is just guaranteed sustain in terms of ES. Looking at this guy here, Blanket Snow, Widespread Destruction, it's a similar situation. I need better clusters for sure. Again, like I said, lots of upgrades to make, and I wasn't messing around there. And then this guy here, this was just a random Jewel that I socketed in because I was like, okay, let's just get the Lightning Res. I needed that at the time. So very, 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 average gear, I feel like, for this build. Oh, then sorry, a Replica Conquerors down here. Lots of room for efficiency improvements. I mean, if you look this build up on PoE Ninja, you'll see, hundreds of builds out there have like 20, 30, 40 plus million damage. You can definitely get there. Showing you guys my POB quickly. Let me pull this guy up here. So as you can see, just with Ice Spear, I'm showing 4.2 million at second form all projectiles for Ice Spear. So quite nice with no Flasks up. With Flasks up, what am I? I am 6.8 million. And again, this is just to show you guys. I will put the POB link in the description, obviously, but this is on Shaper Guardian, which is, again, like that's pretty much how it goes there. I'm using power charges, so those are stacked and checked there. Crit recently, more likely than not. But all in all, I will link the POB. Enjoy this build. This is one of the most fun builds that I've had the pleasure of playing. I highly, highly, highly recommend it if you are looking for a new build. I feel like we're at that time of the league where people are trying to get new builds. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this build if you decide to play it. And I will catch you guys in the next one.